We're up to day 3 of painting the entire Hoenn map. Today we're tackling the first batch of the dreaded water routes that cover the region. We've also crossed off 32 Pokemon from our decks so far, so today we're going to try and take out a few extras. Our first painting today is Route 105, also Route 106 because I guess they're technically separate routes, but let's be real, it's all the same spot. I've found that the average amount of time I spend per painting has been slowly creeping up the further I've gone into this painting series, and I think partially the culprit has been a lack of planning before jumping in. At the start of a new project, it's really tempting to just dive right in without any plan and just get to the good bit to start painting, but typically from what I'm slowly learning at least, that's not really the smartest approach. Rushing through the early stages just means you'll get lost more easily later on, so with this one I tried planning it out a bit more before diving in. I spent more time on thumbnails and went with the one that I really liked the most. With the refined sketch, I made sure to include all the Pokemon I wanted from the start, rather than just leaving them to the end as an afterthought like I usually do. I also took more time to really make sure I locked in colours that I liked before moving on to the overpainting stage. And the end result was a way smoother painting process. This time I didn't need to spend as much time going over the same spots and correcting mistakes, and it shows just in the amount of time that it took. The slowest painting in this series so far was Petalburg Woods, clocking in at just below 14 hours, which for me is a crazy amount of time to have spent on a single piece. But this one was only 3 hours 20 minutes, which is a really huge step forward. Onward to Dewford Town. The reason I'm making such a big deal over the time spent on one painting is, well, I guess there's two. The first part is that a faster turnaround means I keep my excitement for each one high, so when one is done I want to jump right into the next. It's hard for me to get bored of a painting when I've only spent a few hours on it, so rather than letting it drag on and getting fed up with it, I usually finish them still with fun ideas in my head for more that I could have added, and then I carry that into the next painting. The second reason is if I go too slow, I kinda just get bored and burn out. I'll get to the end of a 10-hour painting and need to step away from digital art altogether for a few days, which is a bit of a problem when you're trying to put out videos with any sort of consistency. The best part too is I don't think spending more time on a painting necessarily makes them better anyway. I mean, the next one coming up is one of my favorites so far, and it's the shortest one yet by a long shot. Since the biggest pieces of a painting I kinda decided right at the start, as long as your sketch and base colors are solid, everything else comes together pretty effortlessly. So practicing the early stages of a painting over and over just means you gain XP faster. Also with this one, 2 more of you made it in, Summerlay and Icy Skies with your Feebas and Poliwag. Also, how did we end up with the name Dewford Town in the English release of the games? Overninja left a comment saying it's called Myokara Isle in the French release, and man, that name's a way better fit. That actually sounds like the name of an island, but Dewford sounds like a bloated barge. Ah well. Oh my god, Granite Cave was such a challenge for me. I struggled a bit with Rust Earth Tunnel last time too, but this one was something else, I don't know man. I actually scrapped my first attempt at this one, which is something I haven't had to do yet with this series. For the most part, my approach being move fast, make mistakes, and learn quick, it's meant that I haven't really needed to scrap paintings when they aren't going so well. I've just kept going ahead, and if I didn't like the end result all that much, that's been fine because it's just one more on the pile. But I don't know, I guess the difference here was that I just wasn't having fun working on it. As I went, I could feel it quickly turning into another 14-hour painting, and I kinda started to dread working on it. Maybe because I didn't start it out with as solid a plan as the others, or maybe because the scale of it was kind of a lot. It's got 4 different floors and I felt like I had to cover them all. But I got this comment from Cosmic Comet saying it might be fun here to use a game like Terraria as reference, where the whole game you're kind of looking at a cross section of the world where you can see inside caves and all the different layers and the above ground all at once. So on my second attempt, I ran with that idea and it went a little smoother. I still struggled through it, I don't know, this cave's just cursed or something, but it was a really fun idea to try going with that 2D look, so I'll probably give it another shot down the line. With this one, I also crossed off another 3 Pokemon and threw in a couple more comment requests, so Psycadet and Eoreos, welcome to Hoenn. Okay, rather than just spending the next minute and a half painting away at yet another water route, I figured for 108, how about we focus on just the abandoned ship instead? That's the most interesting thing there anyway, come on. I had a lot of fun working on this one, and like I said before, it's the fastest I've finished a painting for this series yet. I forgot to hit record while I was doing the thumbnails though, super annoying. But the recorded time is 2 hours, 35 minutes, so those extra few thumbs wouldn't have added that much extra time anyway. I knew with this one I wanted to have Mount Chimney visible in the background, towering above. That's something I really want to do more of going forward. It's such a cool landmark in the Hoenn region, having this massive volcano completely eclipsing everything else around it in its scale. So cool. I've never tried painting metal before, so that was tough. A lot to learn there still, but I liked adding in the little hatching lines to make it look a little beat up stuck in there between the rocks. I remember coming across this place for the first time playing through Pokemon Emerald as a kid. I always tried to avoid trainers back then, which kinda goes against the point of the game, but also I stupidly thought that repels were a waste of money, and since you can't avoid battles on the water otherwise, I just surfed as little as possible. But I think we were all a bit like that, right? Well, because of this, I never really searched around the water routes, so I didn't discover the abandoned ship until way later on, and I really missed out because the inside is one of the more interesting areas in the game. Route 109, aka Slateport Beach. This is another one I'm kinda iffy on if I'm being honest. Sometimes paintings go smoothly, and sometimes they just don't. When I'm painting off camera, that's not such a big deal because I just scrap them and move on when they stop being fun. But here, the goal being to cover the whole map for a video series, I've noticed it kinda adds some more pressure because I want them to look at least decent, otherwise the video won't be as interesting, right? At the same time, the bad paintings are every bit as valuable for learning as the good ones are, and long term that growth is more important, so that's the #1 priority, I guess? I don't know man, art is hard. I think a bit about how down the line when I'm a better artist or something like that, it'll be easier to make videos because even my worst paintings are gonna look more interesting than my best do right now. But I also don't know if that's actually true. Thinking back to when I first got into art in 2018, I felt the same way then, but I'm still struggling along now, so maybe that feeling of not being good enough doesn't actually go away just as you get better at making pictures. At the same time though, the better you get at effortlessly putting your ideas onto paper, the more fun it definitely gets, which does make you want to go and make more stuff. Look, maybe one day I'll have this stuff all figured out, but for now I guess I'll have to make do with some paintings looking a little crap and others looking a little cool. You know the drill by now, sneak peek time for day 4. Next time we're going to be tackling Slateport City, Cycling Road and everything else up towards Mauville, so stay tuned for that.